That was a great interview, Jeff. Now, finally, where can I find your website?
I don't have a website.
What?
I just never got around to making one.
You know what? I can't take you seriously with an attitude like that. I am extremely disappointed in you. To not have a website is irresponsible, lazy, you lack ambition. I mean, where's the vision?
Don't be like Jeff. Be responsible. Get out there and shine with a beautiful website by Web Orchard, where they will take care of all of your website needs. Go to theweborchard.com right now and get a beautiful website you deserve.
You know what? Get out.
Hi guys, and welcome to episode 2 of season alpha of the Shrewsbury Biscuit. It's still going to take some getting used to saying that, but that is what it is. And today I'm speaking to Anneka, who got in touch a while ago. Actually, we were supposed to do this. Oh gosh, I think we were going to do this on the run up to. We're going to do this really early on the run up to Christmas, so that we could coach people about abstaining from alcohol. And staying away from the work dues and things, but obviously I stopped doing the biscuit, so we had to reschedule it. And I thought, what a great way to set up something like this then for January. A lot of people do take part in dry January and do really well for it as well. And so maybe some people have behaved, I don't know, inappropriately at some work do or something, and they're listening to this and thinking, oh my God, if I hadn't drank so much, I wouldn't have done that. Maybe it's time to change. Well, this is the perfect episode for you. I'm sure there are plenty of others in your situation. And it's a different way of thinking of life. It really is, because, you know, if you think about society and how much alcohol is ingrained into everything that we do, when it comes to the peer pressure and the normality of having a drink at certain situations, if you think about it, sometimes you look back and you think, actually, yeah, it's a bit insane that we do these things. Yeah. So Anneka is wonderful, and she's going to give you a great insight into what she does in her life, and this is a great episode. I want to say a huge thank you before we go into this to Liam Tinsley. I needed a place to record, and him being the great supportive, great friend of mine, and one of the best chefs in Shropshire, let us use his restaurant space at Theatre 7. His restaurant is called The Restaurant at Theatre 7. So whether you're going to the theatre or not, it's a great place to book a table and go and enjoy some great food from a great chef. So in return for this episode, I would appreciate it if you just go and take a look at The Restaurant at Theatre 7 on Instagram or Facebook. Even if you give that page a follow, ready for when you do want to eventually book a table, I would be so grateful to every single one that's listened to this. All right, I'm not going to whittle on too much. This is Anneka, and take it away. This is a great episode. Enjoy. I'll catch you guys at the end. Hi guys, and welcome back to the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. This is episode 2, because we're recording this in a weird order. Our first episode, of course, was with Rob Gibson, but I'm not recording that till next week. So this is a very strange way of doing things. Life is different now. I'm having to fit podcast recordings in as and when life sort of suits me, and that's a very weird way to live. Today's guest, I'm very excited to speak to, because this podcast has been a couple of months in the making, because we were supposed to do this before I took my break. Then it got rescheduled, then I took my break. So Anneka Reece, thank you so much for joining me on the Shrewsbury Biscuit today.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great. I'm really excited. This is literally the first time I've recorded anything with anybody in literally months. So I was pacing around the living room earlier. I took notes. I don't usually do notes.
Very honoured.
Yeah, and it's very nice. And I want to say a huge thank you to Liam Tinsley, because we're recording this at The Restaurant at Theatre 7. It's a great place to come if you want some food during an interval or before the theatre, if you can see something. It's a really lovely space, and the food's amazing. Of course it is. It's made by Liam Tinsley. So, yeah. And it's setting up, give some drinks as well. It's from
I know. So very special.
Yeah, reserved for the biscuit guy.
Nice.
Yeah, so Anneka, we're going to talk about you and your journey today.
Yeah.
And I've been listening to your podcasts, and first of all, I love your show. I really do think it's great, because I've been doing this for, thank you very much, Liam. Liam just brought us coffee.
Nice.
I don't suppose I can pinch some sugar, could I? He's I'm going.
Love a coffee.
Over the years of listening to, producing, making, and being around podcasts, there are so many podcasts, and this is not meant in a dig or anything at all. I think it's great. It's so organic because you hear yourself correcting yourself as you go.
Yeah.
And your thoughts, you talk about your thoughts as they come into your mind, and then you'll correct yourself and come back. A lot of people will cut that out. Do you know what I mean?
Don't do that. I'm like, this is me, guys. I say a lot.
I used to do that. I used to cut out my ums and my ahs. When I used to do a show called Thor's Kid podcast, right? And I used to like cut all the breaks out, all ums and ahs, but I think it's so natural.
I just want people to feel like they've come out for a coffee with me. And I think in order to do that, we need to be natural. And
exactly. If somebody meets you and they're like, well, he's not speaking at 80 BPM. Like he does on the podcast.
Said 5 times.
Usually sounds like Speedy Gonzales. Honey, but is that racist? Are we allowed to do that anymore? My wife's South American. I'll ask her when I get home. Speedy Gonzales impressions? I don't think we are. Anyway, maybe cut that out. Anneka, I want to talk about your journey. So where does life begin for you? Where do you hail from?
Oh gosh, my journey. Where shall I begin it from? From an alcohol-free sense?
Where did you begin?
When did I begin my alcohol journey?
We'll do your beginning story.
So my beginning story, like many British people, I first really developed a relationship with alcohol at university, and I have a really distinct memory actually of sitting in my university bedroom, and I just arrived, and there was a bottle of vodka on my bookshelf, and I remember looking up at it and thinking, so we're going to be friends now. And loads of that was just to do with the student identity of the UK. I was like, this is what we do when you're a student. And I took that badge on very quickly and very enthusiastically.
Freshers Week.
Yeah, I was all over it. And I'm a very enthusiastic, like all in kind of person. And I very quickly just drank every day. I was like, yeah, this is so much fun.
Were you enjoying, I mean, like back then, it's probably hard to think about it while you're on the spot back then, back in the day, but were you drinking out of enjoyment or because everyone else was?
Oh, that's how do you even draw the line when you're that age? Because I'd say in my early 20s, I was like deep in my people pleasing, wanting everyone to like me phase. So probably a bit of both. Yeah. That's
why my wife is not, so I'm a social drinker, but I don't drink. I don't go out an awful lot. In fact, I went to my work do the other day, which you talked about in your last podcast. And yeah, I did have a few beers, but it was the first time I'd been out in probably, I think the last time I was out was actually with Liam, actually, at the tail end of summer.
Yeah.
Because I don't do socialising as much as I used to, and I don't think, I do feel like if I go out, I will have a beer. But I feel like that's a social thing rather than a...
Well, it's so interesting because I say I was drinking out of enjoyment at university. One of the things that I've unpicked in sobriety is that you're usually enjoying yourself despite the fact that you're drinking, because alcohol is a depressant. And we end up being full of dinorphin, adrenaline and cortisol, which are depressant. Dinorphin's a depressant hormone, and adrenaline and cortisol, you probably know, are stress hormones. And there's a whole kind of downward spiral that we go on in our neurochemistry when we drink. Yet we give alcohol so much power. We're like, oh, I've got so many good memories. I've had so much fun when I've been drinking. And a lot of the time you've been having fun because you've been with people that you absolutely love and adore. You've been in an awesome club with a really good DJ. You're like feeling really excited about life generally. But if you try doing that kind of thing without alcohol, and when you've let go of the story, I can't have fun without alcohol, because of course, if we tell ourselves I can't have fun without alcohol, our subconscious is like a genie. It's like, your wish is my command. We will be boring and not talk to anyone all evening and go home feeling rubbish.
Yeah.
But I've had nights out without alcohol since that have just been, as you heard in my latest podcast episode, I had a great time at my CrossFit Christmas party, SY1 CrossFit, the best.
Great shout out. Yeah. I can't say I'm a big user of CrossFit, but maybe one day. Maybe
we can get you there.
Yeah, that'd be great. I am looking for a way to motivate myself to lose a bit of weight. So, and brings me on to something that I'm going to bring up now, because I feel like it's important, because we're recording this in January, right? And not recording this in January. It's actually December, but we're releasing this in January. And I'm very conscious of the fact that a lot of people make New Year's resolutions. I've made loads of them. I know lots of people have, and it's a very common thing. The gyms always fill up with people that want to lose it. I want to go to the gym in January, but I'm not one of those people. It's just like, I feel like it's a food thing rather than a Christmas thing. You eat a lot of food over Christmas. I think, I'll beep it out, but I think New Year's resolutions are bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you agree?
I hate this whole new year. I can't even speak. Can't even say it. That's how much.
Doesn't belong in your mouth.
Does not belong. New year, new me. I think it creates a lot of anxiety, and I think it means that we start the year on I'm not enough straight away. It's like when you have a morning routine that you try and like pack too much stuff into, and then 10 minutes after waking up, you're like, well, I'm already not good enough because I've not done this, and this, and I slept in for an extra 5 minutes. And for me, New Year's is a lovely time to plant seeds. So if you think about the seasons, we in the winter we hibernate, we go into our yin energy. And there's a beautiful freshness about January. We're looking onto the horizon of the rest of the year, and it's wonderful to look back on the year before and say, oh wow, look how far I've come, and look at all the stuff I've achieved, or look at everything I've manifested. And it's lovely to say, what do I want now? Great, do it. Plant the seeds. But if you look around you at nature, the seeds do not spring up until spring. Plant the seeds, put your intentions down on paper, and know that you're moving towards them. But do you need to spring into action in January? No, that's for spring.
It's true. So I do feel like prompts are a good idea. Not always, I guess, but like I stopped smoking with Stoptober. And I haven't smoked since, which is great. I put a blue cross on my calendar for every day I haven't smoked. It's my way of my little reward. And my little boy, the first month was like, reward for daddy. He gave me a reward, and I haven't had one since. So I'm saying, but my reward is I feel better about myself. And I am feeling an amazing amount of energy at the moment. Smoking's a depressant as well. So I don't feel as bogged down and lethargic and stuff. So I feel amazing. I really do feel amazing. That's my drug of choice, I think, is smoking.
I used to smoke a lot. Yeah, so I totally hear you. I've not smoked for 3.5 years, but I think I found it harder to stop smoking than I did to stop drinking. So I totally get you. And also, when I say I hate New Year, new me, it doesn't mean that stopping on the 1st of January is a bad idea. Stopping smoking or stopping drinking.
Yeah.
It's just about not putting too much pressure on ourselves to like suddenly change our whole lives, in January.
If you're thinking, I'm not going to stop now because they said it on the Shrewsbury Biscuit. Please stop.
Yeah.
Doing what you're doing. And, I feel like with everything that comes with stopping something, whether it's alcohol, whether it's food, whether it's alcohol, drugs, maybe cigarettes, there's always that bit of social peer pressure. And you talked about it brilliantly in your podcast about the Christmas work do. I love how you sort of fitted that together. There's a social sort of pressure that maybe people aren't aware of. Maybe it doesn't exist. Maybe they're not doing it, but you think it's happening. But you feel like you've got to comply with what everyone else is doing. How did you get over that when you first started to?
I think the important thing to recognise with alcohol is it's entrenched in our culture, and it's very tribal. So we are essentially tribal beings, and the most dangerous thing that we can do in terms of our subconscious mind is to be excluded from the tribe. So if we allow ourselves to feel like, oh, I'm going to be rejected by the tribe, by my friends, we're setting ourselves up for failure. So one of the first things that I say to my clients is, don't exclude yourself from things. Do all the things that you genuinely want to do. Now, you might do some of them and realise, you know what, I actually don't like doing this. I thought I did, but now I've stopped taking an anaesthetic. I've realised it's actually really boring. That's fine. But do the things you want to do. And I think alcohol-free drinks are so good for this because I call it our inner toddler. Our inner toddler is pacified when you sit there with a pint of beer in your hand and you've got the same shaped glass or the same shaped bottle as everyone else. And no one even notices when you do that as well. People just feel so much more relaxed. And it's amazing how your placebo effect kicks in, you feel more relaxed, you join in and you forget about the fact that you're not drinking. And then you come home and you're like, oh my God, I had an amazing evening. And alcohol-free drinks, I think they just give us that little bit of like a pacifier, if you like, to forget about the fact that we're not drinking, because so much of it is the story around, I can't have that, I'm not drinking, I won't have a good time. And when we just take that bit away, actually, no, I had a much better time than normal. I stayed up much later than normal. I was much funnier. I promise you, everyone's funnier when they're not drinking because your brain works quicker. And then you come home and you think, oh, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've all been there as a designated driver at a night out, and you're the only sober one. And I think towards the end of a night, you think everybody's jumping around and laughing weirdly, and everybody almost looks strange. When you're sober, you're the only sober one around, and everybody's kind of drunk around you, and you think that could have been you.
Yeah.
That could have been you, but you're still having fun, I guess. It's.
I think the interesting thing when you look at the neurochemistry behind what happens when we drink is we have fun in the first 20 minutes. We have lots of happy hormones released when we have our first drink. And then our brain counteracts it with adrenaline and cortisol. And actually, we end up feeling more stressed and more grumpy than before we started. But at that point, we've stopped laying down memories. And we're just not as aware. So when you don't drink, you can watch this happen. You're like, oh yeah, they are getting more grumpy. They've had an argument. They're definitely going to have a Barney when they get home. I can see she's cross with him. And you can
Why is she crying?
Yeah, why?
Why? You dropped your shoe. Why are you crying?
Exactly. How many times? I mean, I know I've gone home crying many a time when I've been drunk. And when you allow yourself to step back and see that when you're not drinking, you can ask yourself that question: was I ever really having as much fun as I thought I was? Or am I having more fun now because I'm actually genuinely laughing and being silly and I'm not crying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You've done so much. You've looked into this so much. And when was the moment, what was the thing for you that made you want to change, made you want to give up alcohol?
Oh, good question. So when I was at university, I drank a lot and it was very normalised. And when I finished...
Stop!
It was actually, I was devastated when I finished university. It was so sad because I had so many lovely friends and I really enjoyed myself, and I tried to carry on the party really when I went into work in my first job, and I saw it's really grown up, that's what we do, we have a glass of wine after work because we're stressed and this is just what grown-ups do. And it was those 3 years in my first job that I did that repeatedly, and eventually I was suddenly woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday and I felt like the universe just slapped me across the face. And I was like, I feel horrible. I feel absolutely awful. I feel really depressed. I feel really trapped in my life and something has got to change. So that was the catalyst to the first time I tried being alcohol free. And I can't believe that I had a year and 3 months off, right? And I can't believe I picked up another drink ever again because I had the best year and 3 months I'd had so far in my life. My life went from 0 to 100. Before I knew it, I was living in Dubai. I was living in an amazing apartment with my own pool. I met my then partner. I met my best friend, who I'm still best friends with. Everything suddenly got really good. And then I went back down the rabbit hole again and really proved to myself, life is not as fun when you drink. Like, my rain cloud came back. Things just didn't come to me as easily. I didn't manifest things I wanted as easily, and the magic kind of went away, which is why I then eventually, took me a while, managed to come back to where I am now.
It's beautiful. It really is beautiful because I think I'd put someone on Facebook earlier that I've just got rid of my black cloud after 2 years. This cloud has been following me around. It's been absolutely cuckolding me creatively. Honestly, it's been like sucking all the energy out of me, telling me I'm terrible at what I do and all this sort of blah, 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 blah. I know I'm not, right? I've got to accept the fact that I'm good at something and this is it, right? And I'm going to carry on doing it. I'm going to do it well. But for the last 2 years, I've been really struggling. My anxiety with creativeness has been a terrible, terrible ordeal to go through. And I'm not saying it's the smoking, but I feel proud of myself for doing that. And then I've also gone back and listened back to some of my old stuff, which I'm very, very proud of. Some of the interviews I'm really, really proud we did with you, Suck. I put a guest reel together the other day, and we were speaking to Carol Baskin, and we were speaking to Brian Graydon, who ran MTV for 13 years. There's all these amazing people that we had on our show. I was like, we did that. Billy West came on our show, one of some of our heroes. And it made me realize, actually, Alex, you're an idiot because you were brilliant at what you did. There's no reason to feel bad about what you did.
Well, I would just say as a coach that voice on your shoulder that's been telling you, oh, you can't do it, you should probably stop. Everybody has that voice. Yeah. Everyone. But the funny thing is a lot of the time, a lot of our lives we spend thinking it's only us. It's just me because I'm not good enough. And, Tiger Woods has that voice. Like, everyone does. All of these successful entrepreneurs have it. But the skill is getting really good at turning around and telling it to do one. and say no thanks. In fact, Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love, talks about this voice when she's writing. Can I swear on this podcast?
I'll beep it out. It's funnier if it's beep it out.
Okay. So she talks about the voice, and she's writing her book. She's obviously like a very famous number one bestseller writer, and she's writing, and she's got this voice on her shoulder saying that it's crap and that no one's going to listen, no one's going to read it. And she says, you know what I do? I turn around and I look at that voice and I say, go make your own art. And I was like, yes, I love that she has that too.
And that's something I needed to learn, because when I was putting USUC together with the boys, I missed you guys if you're listening to this. We had a team that span across the world, right? It was amazing. We were pumping out content like every day of the week. And I was so engrossed in the figures. What do the analytics say? Who's listening? Where are they listening to? Why have we not got tens of millions of... And it was dragging me down so much to the fact I think it was affecting my content. That's where it all began. And it just kind of barreled out of the way. I sound better when I'm enjoying myself. And I realised after this break that I've just had, I feel right now I'm floating on air because I haven't done this for a while. And I love it.
It's all about fun and creativity.
Yeah, fun. That's what I'm saying.
Playful energy. And you know what? That's the best way to manifest. Have fun. And you know what? On that note, I hardly ever check my podcast stats.
No.
Because I'm like, let the universe decide. Whoever needs to listen will find it. And I'm just going to enjoy doing the episodes. And I've got one rule with my podcast, and that's that I have to be consistent. So I have to release one a week. That's just my thing. And I'm like, as long as I'm doing that, I'm winning at life. And the universe will look after the rest for me.
That's what I did with the biscuit. Every Monday for 5 years, we released an episode. There may have been one day, but I'd always counteract it with a special or something, you know. But yeah, it's good to have that consistency of making content.
Well, it's good that you've come back, because we need more of this.
Yeah, it took a bit of jiggling, a bit of jiggling. So like I'm doing a season of 10 episodes now, rather than one every single week. Because I need that time with my family to concentrate on my work, my actual job that pays the bills and stuff, So, but at the same time, I'm still making stuff. So I'm making 20 podcasts a season, because I'm doing 10 for the Shrewsbury Biscuit and 10 for the Biscuit Guy, which is a more adult, mature themed version of me, where I can speak to anybody that doesn't just live in Shrewsbury. So, our first 3 guests are Mike Perkins, superstar comic book designer, ride drawer. He's one of the best on the planet. Brad Brohannon from Bar Rescue, one of my favourite friends, and Danny Rojas from Ted Lasso. Football is life.
Amazing.
Because I love that. I love speaking to people from all around the world. Yeah. And it's because I give myself the license to have fun with it. Like I said, there's a few things that I love that you mentioned in your podcast, and one of the things I think I pointed out was hashtag feeling our feelings.
Oh yeah,
I love that.
That's a big one. That's like, I think, the most important thing I have learnt in my life to date is how to, and I'm still learning, because I don't think we ever finish learning about this, how to feel my feelings. And if I look back at all of my maladaptive coping practices throughout my life, drinking, smoking, eating too much, dieting, etc., it all comes down to not feeling safe, feeling my feelings. And I think we're trained not to feel our feelings. As children, we're told, be a good girl or boy, have a sweetie, that's it, don't cry, well done. And then when we get older, that turns into alcohol or cigarettes or other drugs and food. And the magical thing is, when we actually feel our feelings, we process them and we release them, and then we kind of up level. And when we don't feel them and we push them back down, we carry the trauma around in our bodies. It makes us ill and it keeps us stuck. So it really is magical.
And, it's very interesting when we look at society and the way things are moving at the moment, because you're right. We've recognised those sort of things in growing up, and talking about our feelings and being inclusive and talking about our emotions, and that's starting to sort of wean its way into sort of families and society. Still a bit of pushback from a few people. The whole hashtag woke thing. I am a woke person. I enjoy that. I'm all about talking about my emotions and everybody enjoy the world, not just me. Right? That's me. That's just how I am. But I feel like the more we teach that with kids, and the more that we say to boys, it's all right to cry. Go on, get it all out. When I was growing up, it wasn't acceptable. you were called a fairy or you were called the drama queen or something like that if you cried. Whereas now it's different. It is different now.
It is, and I've even noticed, I'm 39 now, and I've noticed there's a difference in people who are like 5 years younger than me. My sister's husband is 7 years younger than me, and his age group, very comfortable with their emotions and crying. I mean, I can't speak for all men. I can speak for my brother-in-law. But yeah, I think there are some really cool shifts coming with it, and long may it continue.
What do you think holds us back, though, when it comes to, because we talk about the social norms and how things are changing, because they are. We see it all the time. Where we talk about Disney and movies, where we talk about music, or how women are portrayed. Particularly, there's a bit of progress there, which I'm happy to see. Still lots more work to do. But what do you think holds us back from? There's the chair. I have a wobbly leg.
I can hear it, so you can definitely hear it.
Having a little chair swap. There we go.
Well, I just saw Liam before. I think it's the floor. Oh, is it squeaking? I saw Liam tweak it, fixing chairs and stuff earlier. I think some of these chairs are a bit wobbly, but he'll fix it. It's fine. Well, I lost my train of thought now. What's holding us back? What do you think?
Our feelings?
No, with the social norms of drinking, smoking, vaping now is a big thing. Why do people? I know you said that we've got this flock mentality almost, that we want to do what everybody's doing, but we know it's bad.
So, do you want me to explain this from a spiritual perspective or from a more psychological perspective?
We can do both. We've got plenty of time.
Okay, so from a spiritual perspective, we've got light and dark energy, and dark energy is not necessarily a bad thing, but we've come into this human experience because it's the realm of contrasts. So we've come in to experience all of like the light and the dark, and the high vibrational feelings and the lower vibrational feelings. And Shaman Durek, who wrote, what's the name of the book? Spirit Hacking, which was actually the reason why I put down my last gin and tonic over 3 years ago. He describes the web of ideologies that we live in, that are kind of like all the brainwashing and like the social ideologies, as the matrix. And the matrix is made up of dark energy. And the matrix is designed to keep us small, keep us in our box, and keep us from expanding. And if you think about, well, why did we, if I'm a soul that's come into this human experience, like, why have I done it? Well, the argument is that we've come to expand, to grow, to learn, to expand our souls, and that we come back many times and we keep learning and growing and expanding. And that the matrix is trying to like stop this.
Wow.
And keep us small. And I do believe that alcohol is a weapon of the matrix. And as Shaman Durek explained it in his book, and when someone says something, you're like, that resonates so much. And it does, it keeps you small. It stops you from feeling your feelings. It stops you from healing your pain, stops you from releasing your trauma, stops you from questioning things. It basically keeps you as a hamster in a wheel. It allows us to accept the unacceptable. If we're in a relationship that's unacceptable, or we're in a job that's unacceptable, and things are going on in our lives that are just awful, we can ignore them and we can keep going if we keep numbing. And when we stop numbing, we're like, what the hell am I doing? I can't do this anymore. And we grow and we change.
I think numbing is a very key word in all of that, what you just said. And I do believe what you're saying does make a lot of sense, because when it comes to like the stresses and the strains of life, I think we all pick that one thing, that one activity, that one thing that everybody's got their vices. I believe that, right?
Yeah.
So, some people play too many video games. People do drugs, drink. Some people are addicted to pornography, or they look at their diet and their fitness probably a little too much. I mean, I don't know, but there's always something. Yeah. And I think actually, fitness can be like a positive, a good vice to have, I suppose. To swap one for the other,
Yeah, I think. I mean, with all of these things, drugs and alcohol, no, but with things like fitness and shopping and things, they can be perfectly harmless. But it's when we're using them to not feel our feelings that they become problematic.
Yeah, of course. And
when we're using them to chase dopamine, which is the beginning of an addictive pathway, because we don't want to feel our feelings. Yeah. And it comes down to, again, feeling scared of our feelings. And I don't even call them negative feelings. I disagree with that. We have uncomfortable feelings, but they are uncomfortable for a reason. So for
Like a roller coaster, yeah.
yeah.
Right.
And, if the fire alarm went off here right now, it would be a really uncomfortable noise. But it's supposed to be, because it's supposed to make us move, get out of the building so we don't burn.
And that feeling you get of scare and panic is actually designed to get you out of the building.
Exactly. And that's what all of our uncomfortable emotions are. They're just in a fire alarm going, excuse me, you need to look at something.
There's a famous Lee Evans joke where he's like, when the captain comes over the thing, he's like, hello, I'm your captain. And he's like, oh, that's posh, isn't he? He's like, if he comes over the speaker, he's like, have you looked down yet? He's like panicking. You don't panic. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our uncomfortable feelings are so helpful when we don't numb them and we listen to them. And seriously, this is one of the many reasons why my life's just so much better now I don't drink, because I move through things quickly. If something's not serving me, or a relationship's not serving me, or a situation's making me unhappy, I cannot ignore it.
No.
And that's uncomfortable in the moment, but what it means is I get myself out of it pretty damn quickly and into a better situation, instead of wasting years stuck in miserable situations.
Yeah. And that is one of the hardest things to do, because, there may be people that I worked with in the past that may listen to this and think, you what, Whiteley? But I was in a job I wasn't happy with for a while. I was stuck there because I thought, low self-esteem, what am I going to do after this? I was very good at my job. And it turns out I am good at this job because I got a better job. But it took me so long to get off that leap pad, and it's having that motivation to do that. And that is, again, we were talking about earlier about listening to your negative feelings and stuff. That's kind of what I was doing. I wasn't giving myself the license to be brave enough to go out there and try something new.
Absolutely. And equally on top of that, if we are numbing with alcohol, not only are we allowing ourselves to accept the unacceptable, but we're also messing with our neurochemistry so that we are predispositioned to feel more anxious and more depressed on a daily basis. And we kind of train our brains that the only thing that's going to make us feel better is a drink of alcohol. And we start to create this false reality that life's just a bit crap. And it's like, no, that's what alcohol makes life feel like.
Yeah.
And if you want proof of this, go to a children's birthday party and watch them having fun and enjoying themselves, or even just watch a child playing. You're supposed to feel good most of the time.
Children's laughter is a good thing. And cat videos. I used to be like, cat videos, yeah, whatever. Now I find myself openly laughing at cat videos. I love them. I
love a good cat video.
By the way, if you heard me open a can and pour some liquid, it's water.
It's not beer. I'm going to open my
Wenlock Spring. It's still.
It's still, actually.
Yeah, it's nice. Wenlock Spring I spoke to twice on the biscuit. It's an interesting conversation to have, because I met them at the food festival first. I was like, oh, these guys, water. What kind of conversation are we going to have water? Actually, one of the most interesting conversations I've ever had on the podcast.
Really?
Yeah, it's fantastic. The science of water is wonderful.
Oh, did you learn about the molecules, the Dr. something Moto, who you can charge water with feelings?
Really?
There's a study that some doctor did.
I watched the, is it Down to Earth with Zac Efron? There's one where he was stuck in Australia during COVID. Anyway, Zac Efron did this amazing documentary where he went and looked at different aspects of life. And one of them was water. And he was looking at this really expensive water. You could buy really, really expensive bottles of water. And he was just like, what's the difference? And he went to where they make the water, and they put it in a tank and they shoot it with infrared.
Really?
Literally, it's really good, a really good documentary. There's some amazing science about water.
Wow, I didn't know water could be so interesting.
I know, and we digress. Talking about water. So, how, since you've made this the transition of I'm not drinking anymore, and being part of this wonderful community, by the way, I spoke to Kate Taylor from Walking the Straight Line, wonderful person, and in fact that's why we had the gap in between, because we thought there might be very similar podcasts, but actually not.
Yeah,
it's a huge community. You guys do it for your own reasons, and there is so much to talk about it. So I'm glad that we've done this, because Kate is wonderful, and so is you in your own unique ways. How's the community been to you, and how have you sort of thrived? Or
So one of the things that I've really noticed this time, so I stopped drinking for the last time on the 27th of November 2020, which was a long time after the first time I tried being alcohol-free, which was in 2010.
Wow.
So I had a big gap of going around the houses with having breaks in my, having months off here and there. And the first time I stopped drinking, I literally was the alcohol-free kid. I loved it so much, and I honestly never thought I would go back to drinking ever. I was so happy, but I did. One of the reasons why was because no one else around me was alcohol free. There wasn't the online community, so I felt like I was like out on my own. It was like go to AA or go to Alan Carr, which is actually what I did. I went to an Alan Carr seminar and they kind of reframe things for you, but there was no community. And after a while I just got re-brainwashed. I had so many people around me going way, especially because I lived in Dubai where alcohol is really glamorized and they've got like Veuve Clicquot and like silver trays everywhere. And
really,
yeah,
that shocks me, and that's probably the ignorance of me going, oh, looking from the outside, because Dubai I see as a country that maybe wouldn't.
well, if you're Muslim you don't drink, but there's lots and lots and lots of non-Muslims there, and they charge 30% tax for alcohol, so they're more than happy to allow us to pay them for it, which is fair enough,
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, it is actually more liberal than you think. You have to have an alcohol license.
Again, that's me being really me looking from the outside. This is like, so my wife is from Colombia, and a lot of people look at Colombia and they look on the outside, they think Pablo Escobar. Been to Colombia a couple of times, and it's a wonderful country until you learn about country,
Yeah, you got to go and try it. So there's a big drinking culture amongst expats in Dubai, not amongst Muslims, but amongst the expats. And yeah, I got re-brainwashed basically. That's how I explain it. And since this time that I've stopped, there's just this massive sober community, and you feel like you're a member of like a really cool secret club. And something that I've noticed is that when I go to events or parties and I meet people for the first time, when you realise like that someone else is alcohol free, you instantly have this kind of like winky, like, oh yeah, sweet, we're in the club.
We're in the club.
Yeah, I've got your back, buddy. And it's quite fun. And there's just so many different things online. There's different meetups you can do. It's a great way to meet people, actually, being alcohol free. I've met loads of friends through it.
Do you guys... That's you guys. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to lump you guys.
I say guys.
Yeah. But do you guys try and liberate people from alcohol, or just let them come across it organically?
Oh, one of my biggest tips is, ironically, I know I'm on a podcast talking about how great it is to be alcohol free, but I really say to people, don't preach. So I preach on my podcast and on my Instagram and my TikTok, because the idea is that people who want to look for some inspiration can find it there.
Yeah.
But in a social situation, in my real life, no, don't. If people want to stop drinking, I will happily talk to them, but I never want to make people feel judged or like I'm preaching to them. And I always say to my clients, be the light. Just focus on being the happiest version of yourself and having loads of fun. And the people that want or need help or are going to be on that path, they will come to you on their own and say, tell me what you did. And that's my biggest advice to anyone who's on a sober journey. Don't try and change people. Focus on yourself and be the light.
And then they'll be like, I want a piece of that cake.
Yeah, exactly. People do. They're like, tell me, like, what have you done? You look
Skin's looking amazing. What did you do? What are you using? No alcohol.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's just same for the no smoking thing for me. I don't want to compare myself to people's journey with alcohol, but that's the only way I can sort of relate, I suppose. And I said I can't quit until I'm ready.
Yeah, totally.
And I did, and it's my little boy who was like, "Will you stop smoking, Daddy?" Yes, okay. And this is the thing, right? I don't do drugs. I don't really drink that often. I don't really go out and socialise that much. And I didn't really smoke an awful lot. Yeah, I'm a bit of a pudding, but do you know what I mean? That was the only thing really I think that was really getting me down is that I'm always going to be a slave to this thing. I want to be able to go and do my own thing without having to think about it. And also as well, it's really embarrassing when you go out in a group of people and you're the only one stood out in the garden having a cigarette in the rain. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, when I lived in Dubai, everyone smoked because it's really cheap there and it's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
The British expats smoke there a lot. And I mean, I'm so pleased I don't do it anymore, but I have noticed since I've been back in the UK, people don't do it anymore.
No, it's all vape. And I did have the vape for a bit. Before I stopped. But I was like, no vape, no cigarette, nothing, no alcohol, no nicotine, nothing. So I stopped completely.
But I like the fact that you just mentioned feeling trapped, because it's the same with alcohol. It's about freedom. And this is something that holds a lot of people back with stopping drinking, is we create this false story that we are free. We drink because we are free, and that if you say you're not going to drink, you don't feel free anymore. It's actually the opposite.
Yeah.
You feel truly free when you don't do it anymore, and you can do everything you did before and more.
And as what sounds like a well-travelled girl, you mentioned in your podcast Dry by Gin. Oh my God, that's terrible. Dry by choice.
Yes.
Dry by gin.
Freudian slip.
Wow, that's crazy. Dry by choice on Wild Cup, dry. An amazing off-license to sell non-alcoholic beer. Alcohol. Non-alcoholic beverages. There you go, that's the word, Whiteley. Got there in the end. As someone who's travelled around and been a part of this community, is that unique to have something like that in a town, do you think?
So, alcohol-free off-licenses are popping up. I would say, I think we are really lucky in Shrewsbury. We have got some amazing alcohol-free options. That off-license is incredible. Because of them, the bars and restaurants are stocking more and more and more of a range of alcohol-free options. In fact, the Armoury even has Lucky Saint beer on tap, which is alcohol-free beer. So I would say that the options that we have for alcohol-free in Shrewsbury are on a par with London. I know there's an alcohol-free off-licence in London. I've not heard of any anywhere else.
I did see something in the paper that there's a young couple opening an alcohol-free pub. I have to look that up and put the link in the comments. I will find the story, and the comments on social media were funny. Well, I'll give them a week, But I feel like that's quite appealing.
Is it Shrewsbury?
No, in general, I think there's a guy bought a pub and he's like, we're going to make it alcohol free.
Amazing. I'll be there. I mean, there is a bar in London called Redemption that's like an alcohol free bar.
I'm going to Google it now while we're looking. Also, as well, in a bit, we're going to play a new game. It's hold on, give me a sec. Alcohol free pub. I'm doing a Google. Here we go. I found it. It's an ITV channel. Well, maybe we can. What's his name? It's in Weymouth, and it's called the Dry Dock.
Oh.
Has he got this gentleman's name? Sam Watson hopes his pub, located on St Thomas Street, offers a safe place in the heart of the town centre. It's an alcohol-free venue, offers all the conventional features of a traditional pub, such as television, pool table, dartboard, restored jukebox, board games, pub quizzes, and every Wednesday.
And I love that. There's lots of things to do. And actually, when I lived in Dubai, even when I was still drinking, I used to go to Friday night karaoke at Rock Bottom, which sadly is no longer there. But I used to love that because it was an evening out that wasn't focused solely around alcohol. There was an activity that we were doing, which was karaoke. And it's nice to have something else to focus on other than how wasted we can get,
To be fair, do you know what? Like, I'm feeling I feel like I'm a different version of me than I was a few months ago, because I was like, no, I can't do karaoke when I'm sober, but I sing amazing in the shower. I don't care what anybody else says. Like, when I'm in the shower,
you'll do it better when you're sober. 100%.
I agree, totally agree.
Yeah,
totally agree.
And also, if you want to build real confidence, then don't drink, because if you tell yourself, I can't dance without a drink, I can't socialise without a drink, you're feeding a belief that you are not enough and that you need this this crutch to help you do basic things like socialise and, have fun. And when you go and prove to yourself, like, I can have fun without anything. I don't need anything. I've got all the resources within me I need. Every single time you do that, your confidence grows and grows. You have an amazing night, or, you like pull the person you've wanted to pull for ages, or you sing an amazing song in karaoke and you're like, no, I did that because I'm that good. Not because I needed this thing to help me. And actually, you're not waking up in the morning with beer fear going, oh my God, was I awful?
Yeah, what did I do?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I text my ex, or I did this terrible thing, or I was a wasn't I? It's one of those things. Like, no, because you were sober.
Exactly.
If you're a while you're sober, you're just in general. What's the worst thing to ask someone who is abstaining from alcohol when you're having a conversation? I've had a similar conversation with this with Katie, but like, have you had any experiences yourself where people have come up to you and said an inappropriate thing?
So now it's interesting. When you first stop drinking and you're not like quite sure if you really want to do it, people always try and convince you to drink. But when you're really solid in that, no, I don't drink, people really don't bother you. But one of the things I've really noticed is that sometimes people come up to me and they whisper like, did you have a problem? Were you an alcoholic? And I always kind of roll my eyes because I mean, I don't identify with that term. Did not have to be clinically detoxed. I wasn't physically dependent, but I have a bit of an issue with the stigma around that word. And actually, I mean, the word itself isn't the problem, but it's become an issue because of the stigma around it. Because anyone who drinks alcohol is on the continuum of addiction. Just like, if you said to me, oh, I only smoke a couple of cigarettes a night and I tend to have quite a lot of the weekend, but I'm not addicted. Like, anyone would say, well, sorry, but you're delusional. And alcohol is more addictive than nicotine.
It just blows my mind sometimes how much society turns a blind eye on the damages of alcohol. And this is me sounding really preachy and stuff, but it's very damaging across the whole of society, across the whole world, not just across the UK. The
biggest killer of all the drugs.
Yeah. And the damages it causes, the violence and the football hooligans. I can't stand them. Yeah. Big Shrewsbury fan. We've got Wrexham coming up, and I'm like, oh God. In fact, actually, as we're releasing this, the game's already gone. So, well done, Shrewsbury, or shame we lost. Whichever one works.
You just edit out the it didn't happen.
But just leave it in. He's batty brain, that Whiteley guy. Why do we link bad feelings to things like food and drink? I mean, we may have covered this already, but when it comes to comfort eating, or that kind of, it's this very cliche scene of the guy in the bar in America, speaking to the barman, we link those bad feelings with that one thing, that drink, that food.
So I think the biggest driver here is shame. Shame is a very, very heavy emotion. It's the lowest vibrational feeling you can feel. And it's the hardest feeling to process. And because it's the hardest feeling to process, a lot of us don't process it and we repress it. And this is how we kind of collect trauma in our bodies. It's, shame and unprocessed grief, we're all carrying it around in us. And so often, I know the number of times I would wake up having drunk wine, and I don't know about you, but I used to do this a lot. I know a lot of people do. When I'd had a drink, I'd eat the contents of the fridge, or you'd get a takeaway, and then you wake up in the morning, and the first thing, the first thing you think is, oh dear Lord, what did I eat last night? And then you're going around your house like a detective, trying to work out from the crumbs on the kitchen floor. Oh no, I think I had cheese on toast. Oh God, and the shame I would feel around that was just awful. So why do we feel shame around food and drink? Well, again, I think it's linked to the fact that we've pushed down unprocessed emotions, but I think a lot of it as well is the identity and the stories that we create around overeating and overdrinking. There's a lot of shame attached to alcohol in society. It's ironic. It's the only drug that you have to give excuses to not take. It's highly addictive, but we're not allowed to admit that. And we spend most of our energy trying to cover up the fact that it's got a little bit of a pull on us. I think most British people drink more than they would ever admit to. Yeah. And we just spend a lot of energy making sure everyone thinks, oh, I don't have a problem. I don't drink that much. And the number of times, when people before they know what I do as a job, I say, oh, I don't drink. The number of times people launch into why they don't have a problem for about half an hour, and you just have to sit there really compassionately and be like, okay. And I'm like, well, obviously you're worrying about your drinking because you've been talking for 30 minutes now about why you don't have a problem.
Yeah, you're reflecting there. Look.
I used to do that too, and I feel you.
Yeah, I used to do a lot about my mental health. I used to talk a lot about mental health on the show, and I used to, I won't get preachy about it, but my mental health has been up and down. I've been talking about it for a while, reflecting on what's going on there. I was going to say something and I can't remember what I was going to say. That completely threw me off. My own thoughts and my own emotions and stuff. I think you're fantastic. I think what the message that you guys are trying to do, put out there is very positive because it's a great health choice. And one of my heroes for podcasting, comedy in general, is Bert Kreischer. I love Two Bears, One Cave, great show. Mm-hmm. He does this thing. He likes his alcohol and he likes his drugs, but he'll do this thing where he just stops drinking for 6 months, whatever. And the changes that goes through his body, and he talks about it openly on the podcast. He's like, oh yeah, I've got more energy now, and he's at the gym and stuff, and he's losing loads of weight now. He is. I feel like anybody that does that sort of offers that positive message, like yourself, like Bert Kreischer. It's a great thing.
Yeah, and I think there are lots of people out there who think of being alcohol free as being miserable, as that it's difficult, and I just cannot subscribe to the mentality of you're one drink away from being drunk. You know, it's really hard. Take one day at a time. You're always going to be an addict. I don't think that's helpful messaging to tell yourself. I think as humans, we are all addicts. If you're gonna use that term, we all have dopamine pathways. We all have shame. We all have unprocessed grief and trauma. Some people, unfortunately, have more than others. That is a part of our human experience, and it's really, really, really hard to navigate. But alcohol is not the answer. And yeah, I just think there's so much magic on the other side of not drinking, and it can be, and I never ever want to drink alcohol. I never crave it. I wake up every day just feeling so happy that I don't drink, and that's my mission, really, to help other people see that it can be better than ever before. Just like when you're a child and you used to run down the stairs for Christmas and you were just the happiest, most excited person in the whole world. You didn't need alcohol to feel that good. That's your God-given right.
I interviewed a gentleman called Ben Fuchs a few years ago. Wonderful guy, works in cosmetics in America, and he was talking about nostalgia. And he completely threw me and my buddy Tom Bruno in America, and he was talking about nostalgia. And he said nostalgia is a type of depression. And I was like, get out of here! We all think about sitting watching cartoons in the morning, and it's like, but you can't go back. You can live in that moment for a little bit artificially, but your mind's telling you want to go back. You can't go back. So nostalgia is like a weird little thing that happens to you where it is nice, but you're sad because you can't go back there. And I think that's a really interesting way of looking at things, you know. And yeah, I don't know why I brought that up.
I know, I agree. And I've said this to a couple of people recently who are getting married, and they're like super focused on like getting really skinny for their wedding and looking perfect. And I'm like, don't you be thinking that you're going to look at that picture of you looking perfect in 10, 20, 30 years time and feel happy that you look that good on the day. You won't. You just use it as another reason to feel crap about yourself. You'll be like, oh, I don't look that good anymore. That dress doesn't fit me. Like, feel good on the day because you want to feel good in the day, but you don't need to kill yourself over it.
I got pictures on my phone when I used to be fit and I had like abs and all sorts, right? I look at those pictures and I cringe. What did you do to yourself, Alex? You know, I've got them there for I don't know what reasons. I just got them there because they exist. If I delete them, they're gone forever, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, nostalgia is a funny thing. And I do think that's a very insightful point, really, because the only thing that's real is now, isn't it?
Yeah. And, you know, I mentioned earlier, I went back and listened to some of my old content and it inspired me. You know, maybe that's, you know, me being a bit too... so, I think you got to love yourself a little bit.
No, I think you're being hard on yourself. It's okay to celebrate what you can do.
Yeah, you're right. And that's what I've been taught, especially in my job now. I don't want to talk about my job too much, but like celebrate the little victories because not only does it document what you're doing, but it does make you feel better to move on. And
yeah, it helps you build and move forward. And it also keeps that like pesky voice on your shoulder that's telling you can't do it at bay, you know?
So, well, no, actually, yeah, we did. We made a list in work, actually. I'm going to talk about work. Well, we made a list of all the good things we've done. And I was like, wow, that's a big list. It's bigger than I thought it was going to be. Right, this game. I want to do this game, then I want to talk about the coaching.
Okay.
What you've been doing. It's called...
Wait, random, innit? Yeah?
Because it's going to be a minute of random questions.
Okay.
Random minute.
Oh,
random minute.
I love this.
Right, so I found a website. It's called it's teambuilding.com. And I did email them today. I was like, they've got a random question button on their website that I'm just going to click for a minute.
Amazing.
So if it's inappropriate, you can blame teambuilder.com. So I'm going to find my timer on my watch. Let's have a look. Stopwatch. Okay. And we're going to go for a minute. Is this all right with you?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. The first one up, and we'll go. What book are you currently reading?
I'm reading 3 books at the moment. So I'm reading a book on addiction recovery, and I can't remember who that's by. That's not very helpful, is it? I'm also reading another book. Oh, God, I can't remember the name. It's a sci-fi. I love sci-fi.
Me too.
Is this like a really long-winded answer? I'm supposed to give a quick
We're going to move
answer.
on. 3 books. 3 books.
3 books.
Do you prefer team or individual sports?
Individual.
Individual. Do you enjoy roller coasters? What is the best or worst roller coaster you've been on?
I love a roller coaster. I went on Nemesis 3 times in a row without queuing when I was 10, and I loved it.
Reopening soon, isn't it? Has your taste in music changed in the last 10 years?
No, I love drum and bass forever.
Oh, nice. Do you make your bed in the morning?
Yes.
Nice. Do you spend most of where do you spend most of your day?
In the gym, CrossFit.
Last one. If you could collect anything, what would it be?
Money.
Money. I love that. That's a great feature. I love that. We're going to keep that in. So random in it.
Yay.
That's a great game. Coaching.
Yes.
Big part of your I went to New York then. Big part of your life.
Yes.
I was like on your websites and things and earlier. When did this begin? Has this been a lifelong thing for you, or?
So my teaching business started 2.5 years ago when I moved back to the UK. And actually, when I say I spend most of my time in the gym, that's not true. I spend most of my time coaching. I spend an hour a day in the gym. So yeah, it started then. I trained to be a health coach back in 2019. And when I did it, I was still drinking. And I remember thinking, I quite like the idea of coaching, but I don't really know what my thing is. And it's weird how I do feel like it's my destiny, because I can't remember ever making the decision that I was going to start my business. It just sort of happened. And I was like, I've got to come home and I've got this coaching business and I feel really passionate about it. And I can't really remember the point at which it started or got into momentum. But I had this big thing when I was going back and forth with my drinking, and that kind of 10-year gap between the first time I stopped and the last time I stopped, where I just felt so ashamed of the fact that I just kept going around, that I'd not stuck to it. And I had this massive moment of clarity when I put down my last gin and tonic, that I needed to do all of those months off, different ways of stopping drinking, because I needed it all for professional development, and that my mess is my message. This is what my life's purpose is. It's to have the experiences that I've had with alcohol so that I can support other people, and I can support other people to stop drinking and wake up, basically, and manifest and
unplug from the matrix
and do what your soul came here to do. And yeah, so that's kind of how. That's not a very clear cut way how it happened, but I just feel like
I think it does, because I feel like if you're very self-aware in the fact that you can motivate people, that's a quality you need to lean on. Absolutely, because I've realised that I'm really good in a one-to-one setting speaking to people. No, I'm really good. I enjoy it, whether I'm good or not. So that's up to you guys, right? But I enjoy it and I feel comfortable in it. In a room full of people, I'm kind of like, hi. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's weird.
One-to-one's definitely better. I mean, I would call myself an extrovert. I don't mind groups, but I just enjoy one-to-one conversations so much more.
That's mad. We used to do stuff at the prison. We used to work at Shrewsbury Prison as an actor. And they'd be like, we'd be on the exercise yard, and there'd be like 50, 60 people out there. And I'd be playing a character. I'd be swearing at everyone, being a lager out or whatever, or a pain in the backside. And that was fine to me because I was a completely different character. But if they're like, no, Alex, do it as yourself, I'd be like, no. Isn't that weird, right? It's so crazy. So how's it gone with the business? Is it doing well? Is it all right? You got lots.
I am loving it. So it's one of those things that is really, really scary to do. And I was jumping off a massive cliff when I started doing it. But I've just put one foot in front of the other with it. And bit by bit, it's grown. And my podcast has grown. And I get clients regularly. And I just love it so much. And prior to that, I was a teacher. And when I was working in Dubai, I had outstanding lesson observations. And, I did well at being a teacher. But I know that I am better at this than anything I've done before. And I just know that because of the feedback I get from clients. And I watch people change. I watch people come to me feeling helpless and watch them step into their power as they realise there's nothing to miss with alcohol when you let go of it.
There's nothing better. I think when you talk about drugs and chasing that dopamine, there's nothing better than firing someone up. That is one of the best drugs out there. When you're making a difference and changing someone's life, even if it's just for 30 seconds, and you can see that happening right in front of you.
Oh, it's the best feeling watching people grow and seeing them just get happier and happier on each call. And obviously you go through things. It's not always like sunshine and light, but it is incredible. I love it. It's such a great job.
It's brave as well. It is a brave thing to do. And again, I'm going to compare myself to relate. I got asked by a person in town. I'm going to name him because He's very well known. He owns his own studio in town. And he asked me to come and do some podcast courses for people, teach people how I'll make a podcast, you know? We do like a 6-week course. Maybe people can start from the beginning and make their own podcast.
Cool.
I didn't do it because I was scared that you know, I was kind of like, no, who's going to want to listen to you? I use really old free programs because I believe in making stuff for free with free programs and stuff.
As well.
Audacity and wavelength, waveform, and all these kind of amazing like free programs you can get. Levelator 2, one of the best things ever made. And I'd be like, people use like, you know, amazing equipment that they could just go and buy, you know, Adobe and all this sort of stuff. And I'm thinking, who's going to want to listen to me? But really, that's that guy on the shoulder. That's me. But I'm coming out of that now. So maybe.
You'll find as well. So that's what I call the voice of your ego. And when we drink, that voice gets louder. And when we don't, it gets smaller. And our voice of intuition, which is a much softer, gentler voice, can come through. And that's the voice that takes us where we want to go.
It's self-belief.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, and that's why I think you're brave, because I think I've spoken to coaches before, and I feel like like I said, it's a skill that not everybody has to motivate other people. So, guys, I wanted to point you towards the podcast as well. It's the Alcohol Free Vibes podcast, and I've listened to a few today, and they're very good, very good. They're short bites as well, which I like. I used to make what did I make? Crumbs. I used to call them crumbs on the Shrewsbury Biscuit. They were 15 minutes long, and they used to do really, really well. But I haven't got the time to go and get 15-minute podcasts all over Shrewsbury.
I would say it's that short. It's like half an hour, sometimes 20. Yeah. Sometimes it's an hour. Like when Kate came on, it was an hour. Me and Kate, when we're together, we can just talk.
She's wonderful.
Yeah, she's great. So yeah, sometimes it is an hour, but
it's organic, and I like that. I mentioned that earlier. That's the best part about it for me. Is that I love podcasts when they're not super, super edited and they sound really nice. And free flowing, and that's what your podcast is, and I like that.
Oh, thanks so much.
That's it's a good vibe to have. And the business tell people where they can find you if they want to.
Yeah, so if you would like to connect with me, you can find me on Instagram, and my handle is @Coaching by Anneka. Anneka is spelled Anneka. TikTok is @CoachingByAnneka_official, or you can check out my website, www.coachingbyaneka.co.uk. There's a theme here. And you can email me at thrive@coachingbyaneka.co.uk.
It's wonderful. Kate's ace, like we just met today, and we've got good vibes going on today. Very friendly person. But so thank you for coming on the Shrewsbury Biscuit. It's really nice of you. Is there anything else you want to mention before we get out of here? Anything that we haven't mentioned already?
Yeah, if you are struggling in dry January and you're feeling deprived, and even if you've done what I always used to do, which was do about 4 days and then go, stuff it and get back on the wine. If that is you, then please reach out to me. I've got many things I can offer to support you. I can offer you one-to-one coaching options, but I also have some self-led courses as well, which you can do, and some like really low ticket things as well, like my 30-day audio challenge. So get in contact, let me know what you need, and I'm sure I can help you.
Oh, you've been wonderful guests. It's been really, really nice chatting to you guys. Thank you guys for listening to. I don't even know how I'm going to end this yet. Am I going to do an outro, or am I going to end it now? I don't know. We're just going to ride with it. So
who knows?
I'm going to do an outro. I'll record something separate, but thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. What a great interview that was. I got to say, we did this in a jumbled up order. So I spoke to Anneka first, then Rob Gibson second. And this was actually the first podcast I'd done in literally months. And it was really good to literally dust off the bike. And I was wiping the mics with a duster before as I was setting up, and they were full of dust. So I literally dusted off my mics and recorded for the first time in a while, and it was really good. That episode though, I was a little bit like sort of normally I go straight into it, bam, conversation, biscuit guy, whereas this one I was kind of a little bit, kind of withdrawn a little bit, I feel. But I really enjoyed speaking to Anneka. She was a great guest. Thank you so much for tuning into this new version of the Shrewsbury Biscuit. I really appreciate every single one of you. During my hiatus, I got so many nice messages and at times phone calls as well from people who wanted to work with me. And it's been really nice to know that you guys are still out there, So really appreciate every single one of you. I want to point you towards our brand new website, which is at the shrewsburybiscuitpodcast.co.uk. It's lovingly made for us by the Web Orchard. They've been supporting us from there and off the very beginning. And when I said to Peter, I've got this brand new idea, so I need a brand new website. He's like, well, how's a brand new logo too? So they designed the brand new logo, this amazing new website. So if you need anything for IT needs, if you need a website, they will make one just as sexy, if not sexier, than ours. They're brilliant at what they do. So make sure you follow the Web Orchard. And my final thank you is, of course, to Liam Tinsley, who runs the restaurant at Theatre 7, a great little spot. Whether you're going to the theatre or not, really, it's just a great spot to go and eat. And Liam, being one of the best chefs in Shropshire, undoubtedly, you're definitely going to get a great service from there. He let us set up in that spot there at the theatre, and that's where we recorded. So thank you, Liam, for always supporting me. And in return, I'd like all of you listeners to go and book a table at the restaurant at Theatre 7. Okay, guys, this has been fantastic. I'll catch you at episode 3. This has been wonderful. Peace out. Much love, folks.